Hey, how we doing everyone? Welcome back. So we've had the Kawasaki ZX-9R for almost a year, and recently it occurred to me that we've never actually done a proper full-on ride review of this bike, and it's a really awesome motorcycle despite its age. And she does clean up quite nice. I know that she's got like scratches and stuff everywhere, but and a few cracks, a few dents, but honestly the way she rides is absolutely fantastic. And recently I've done some improvements to the bike, or some maintenance rather. I've changed out the air filter, I've lubed up this throttle so it moves nice and smoothly now, and it seems to have made, I don't know if it's a bit of a placebo effect, but it does seem to have made a bit of a difference. But anyway everyone, let's jump on and let's get this review started. Honestly, I've had so much fun on the ZX-9R, and this is a 25 year old motorcycle. Just crazy. And the fact that she rides pretty much just as good as she did when she was new, well, what I imagined she would have been like when she was new anyway. It is incredible, man, how good this motorcycle has treated me. And it's really funny, recently I thought I'd broken down, but nope, it's because I had run out of fuel. I mean, that is perhaps my biggest criticism of this motorcycle. It doesn't have a fuel gauge, or even a fuel light. You know, it would be nice if it had something to indicate whether or not you need fuel. And the thing is, because, you know, I'm not riding this ZX-9R all the time, I'm riding my other bikes as well, I lose track of when I last fueled them up. To be fair, that is the first time that's ever happened, and I just switched it over to reserve and the bike, squirrel, and the bike turned on straight away, so it really wasn't a big deal in the end. But do we want to go this way? And no, let's go this way instead. But yeah, man, she's loads of fun. Woo! Loads of fun. Pulling wheelies like that is fairly easy, power wheelies, but of course, like any sport bike, most of the power is at the top end, so you've got to almost rev the bike out to pick up the front wheel. But she loves it, man. She absolutely loves being in those higher RPMs. This is a fantastic all-round sport bike, and the fact is that yes, you are leaning forward, but it is really comfortable. This bike is insanely comfy. The seat is lovely, it's nice, soft and squishy, and I do ride this bike for hours at a time, of course, because when I'm out shooting videos I usually come out and shoot 2 or 3 in a day, maybe 4 depending on the time of year. And she's insanely comfy to ride over those longer journeys. And it's quite funny because even though this bike does look a little bit tatty on the outside, on the inside she's an absolute peach. Even though I hardly have any service history of this bike, she's done me really well, man, really well. And this bike is up there in terms of performance. This bike is still up there, and it still competes with modern bikes. So don't look at this bike and think, oh, because it's old it's slow. This thing is insanely fast, and it only cost me £1,500. all right, the only things I've had to do to this bike to fix her up is the clutch. The clutch started slipping on me, which actually doing it yourself isn't a bad job to do. It's actually a fairly straightforward job to do. And the air filter, that's pretty much all I've done to this bike. Her fork seals were done by the previous owner, so I haven't got to worry about that. I did check them recently because we are going to be selling this bike soon. Not yet. We are going to be keeping this bike on for a few more videos, but she will be going on sale soon. But yeah, man, I've enjoyed every single day I've ridden this bike. Honestly, it's really good. But let's talk some specs, shall we? So this is a 1999 Kawasaki ZX-9R. It's got an 899cc inline 4, which is producing about 145 horsepower at the crank and just over 100 Newton meters of torque. And she's weighing in at just over 200 kilograms wet, which for a bike that is this old is awesome. That much power, that much torque on, quite frankly, a really light motorcycle is a really good combination. And this thing is quick, man. We're about to do some 0 to 60 runs here. Not that I'm very good at 0 to 60 runs, but she's well under 4 seconds, and quarter mile, I mean, is under 11 seconds, well under 11 seconds, which is on par with a lot of modern sport bikes today, which is insane. This bike is 25 years old and she can still hang with modern day flagship motorcycles. It's just absolutely outstanding. What a bike. All right, there's no one behind us, so let's go ahead, let's do a quick 0 to 60 run, maybe 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh no! Ah! That clutch let off was really bad. I was pretty much pulling a bit of a wheelie there. That was a bit annoying. Let's try one more. Let's try and actually make it a good one this time. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. I mean, I could probably get to 60 in first gear, actually. I'm going to try one more. See if I can get 60 in first gear. Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, the clutch. Oh, I keep letting off, man. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty sure she can get up to 60 in first gear. But if you're full power on the throttle, you're probably going to be pulling wheelies. So just keep that in mind. Second gear ain't too bad. You can go 100% throttle on this bike in second gear. And she doesn't bite too hard, but you will be doing well over 100 mile an hour probably in second or third gear, so just keep that in mind. But honestly, like, performance of this motorcycle is absolutely amazing, and I can't complain whatsoever about how this bike performs every day. And we really want to have a bit of fun, this bike delivers. This bike is great, absolutely fantastic. Of course, all the lights and things, they're all old. You could upgrade them to LEDs these days. You could even give yourself a fuel gauge, I imagine, an aftermarket fuel gauge. I bet you they exist. But honestly, there's no ABS, there's no quick shifter, there's no techie stuff. It's fantastic. So honestly, this bike is probably a little bit ahead of its time. Okay, this is 1999, and by the year 2000, I think these sport bikes were starting to get fuel injection, and they're starting to get computers and things like that, computerized. But arguably, this is the last era of raw motorcycles where there's no computers in the way. You've got direct throttles, well, a direct line to the throttle, should I say, and it's great. There's nothing between you and the road in terms of electronics on this bike. It's absolutely fantastic. What an experience, honestly. And if you wanted to get a motorcycle to track day on, but you don't really want a 600, you want something a bit bigger, something that has more performance than even a modern day 600, well, this is the bike to pick. At least look at something in this era. Honestly, they will give you a lot of bang for your buck, especially if you're just looking to get a track day motorcycle. Now, I'm not much of a track day goer, but honestly, there's not a lot you'd need to do to this bike. You maybe want to upgrade the suspension a little bit, maybe at the brakes, but other than that, I mean, the shell and ergonomics, everything is pretty much ready to go on this bike. And maintenance on this bike is actually really straightforward and easy as well, because it's so simple. It's just nuts and bolts. You take off a few nuts and bolts, you can pretty much get to anywhere on the bike. Now, mechanics love working on bikes like these because they are much more simple, and you haven't got to worry about electrical cables going left, right and center. on this bike, I was actually surprised, but on this bike I was surprised to see that there's only about 5 fuses. And that's it. One for the fuel, one for the lights, one for the indicators. I don't know, that's pretty much it, I think. Maybe one for the digital ignition timing or whatever. But really straightforward bike. The amount of work that I've been able to do on this motorcycle, and I'm quite a mechanical novice, really. I mean, I've only been doing mechanical stuff on bikes since starting this channel, and this has been an absolute pleasure to work on this bike. Seriously, getting the tank off and getting to the spark plugs, getting to everything on this bike is quite a straightforward affair, if I'm being totally honest. At least from the experiences that I've had with the clutch, with the air filter, access to spark plugs, access to everything is pretty straightforward. And I believe there's only 3 relays as well to worry about on this bike. So yeah, I mean that's why the indicators are running a little bit fast. Well, it's not actually, it's because of a voltage regulator, but we'll have a video coming out about that in the near future. But it's fantastic, honestly. I have no complaints about this motorcycle in terms of the way it rides. Just the fact that it doesn't have a fuel gauge. Everything else, the throttle response is honestly, like, it feels like a modern bike to ride. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel old. It doesn't feel rickety. It feels really refined. It feels proper. And this feels like a serious motorcycle in every way. It's great, man. It's a fantastic bike. I love it. Absolutely love it. And just because it's carburetted and all that, don't worry about that. This bike will do you good. This bike at the moment, what's it got? 36,254 miles on the odometer. That's it. That's not a lot for one of these bikes. If it's been looked after, or when you get it, you look after it, you do the servicing once a year, every 3,000-4,000 miles, something like that. Do that oil change, do that filter change. You do that, and this bike will do you for a long time. It will do you good for a very long time. It's awesome. And I've loved every day I've had the pleasure of riding this bike. And the thing is, after this whole year, I thought I'd break down and have some serious issues with this bike, and I've had none whatsoever. During this year, I've put on about 3,000 miles, 2,000 to 3,000 miles, something like that, and she's given me no trouble whatsoever. And the thing is, if you need anything done on this bike, it's a fairly cheap fix anyway for the most part. Previous owner did spend a little bit of money on this bike, getting it ship shape, but I don't know what condition this bike was in before I got it. All I can do is rate it on the experience that I've had owning it and riding it and maintaining it. And in that regard, she's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved every moment that I've ridden this bike. Oh, we didn't hear the exhaust. That's the thing we do at the start of these review videos, is listen to the exhaust. I can't believe it. Alright, let's pull over and let's hear that exhaust. Let's give you a bit of that noise. Let's see. Oh, what's that? Is that an R6? Oh, I don't know. It was white, whatever it was. Alright. Should have a little area to park up in a second so we can hear it. This will do. Here we go. She sounds great, doesn't she? She sounds awesome. I know it's a Yoshimura exhaust on it, but unfortunately, I haven't had the pleasure of hearing what this bike is like, or was like, with the stock exhaust, so I can't comment. But with that Yoshimura exhaust, it sounds pretty good. So Yeah, man. What an awesome bike. Honestly, this bike has been absolutely fantastic. One issue that I've unfortunately discovered recently is that there is a crack in the seat, in the leather seat. And when I first got this bike, I was so pleased because the seat was in really good condition. Both the seats were in great nick. And unfortunately, yeah, it's just age, leather and age, being outdoors. And I'm pretty sure this bike was stored outdoors before I owned it as well, because the paint has faded on this side a little bit. And it's been dropped a few times, you know. What do you expect? It's an old bike. Old bikes are going to get dropped. It's not really a big deal. But man, yeah, what a machine, what a motorcycle. I've been so pleased with this bike. I can't say enough good things about this bike. It's one of those bikes, one of those machines. It's like an old car, isn't it? You just want it to keep going. And the thing is, because this is a sport bike, this is an old sport bike, it probably has been abused a lot throughout its life, and it's still going strong. And even me, I've abused it as well. I've chucked it on the ground, I've pulled wheelies with it, revved it out a load of times, and it's great, man. This bike has got no problems whatsoever. What an awesome machine. And you will have so much fun on this bike, even on street riding, things like that. The street riding things, okay, it's not going to be the best experience because you've got most of the torque up in the top end, as most sport bikes do, but it's still a really enjoyable experience. Yeah, man, just fantastic. Anyway, everyone, what we'll do, we'll park up somewhere nearby and we'll take one last look at this bike before we sign off for the day. What a bike. Kawasaki ZX-9R. I'm totally in love with this bike, and even though she's not in the best cosmetic condition, all of this you can change if you really wanted to. You can get the tank resprayed, you can get all new plastics for it. It's not a big deal if you really wanted to get this bike looking at its best. But let's hear that exhaust one last time. Oh. What a machine, man. Absolutely fantastic. Well, there you have it, everyone. If you enjoyed this review of the Kawasaki ZX-9R and you're looking to buy one yourselves, then go ahead, leave that like, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos on this awesome motorcycle going forward. And we'll catch you all in the next video, everyone. Take care, ride safe.